We're rolling. So
We going?
Yep.
All right, guys. Strength and movement. We got the Mr. Spartan Elite over here, top 10 in the nation. Scotty G. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Scotty.
Yeah, I'm Scott Giltner. I like to run Spartan races. I've been living in Post Falls grew up in Post Falls, and been living in Hayden the last 5 years, and started coming strength and movement for several years off and on, but hitting it hard with Chris over here, and I like to move.
Yeah. Then we got Joey Swope, the man, the myth, the legend. Everybody knows him. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Yeah, I'm Joey Swope, and I actually grew up in southern Idaho and lived in Idaho all my life and been on the local scene 18 years. And I'm in the woodworking business.
Nice. Yeah.
And know a lot of people just from, being around and
Connections.
doing a lot of different things. But originally from Fruitland, Idaho.
Wow. So
most people don't know where it's at.
I never heard of Fruitland.
Yeah, it's about 6.5 hours south from here.
Okay, gotcha. A little bit north of
small farming town.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I grew up, so except for north central Montana.
So I'm born and raised Idaho.
Nice.
Yeah, so
actually.
a lot of people say
Yeah.
it. A lot of people say it, right? Southern Idaho is a lot different than northern Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's a
what's
little
your
more
take?
desert vibe. Say,
Yeah.
Not as many lakes close by. Is kind of what we have over here, and the winters are quite a bit more mild, I would say.
Yeah. It
And
gets
that's
kinda
where the
wild up here.
potatoes are, right?
Yeah, and
Let's clarify that right now.
Yeah,
Like, there are no
Yeah.
potatoes.
a lot of
outside
farming going on.
Okay.
down there. Yeah.
Yeah, more cowboy hats.
Yeah.
Flatbed trucks.
Yeah.
That.
That's
kinda
interesting
stuff.
because you get that kind of culture up here as well, but probably it's more so down there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not as many fruit trees these days, though. They're cutting the orchards down more, and there's more developments and stuff like that, different crops.
Yeah.
So anyway, I grew up with.
How do you feel about
I
that,
grew up
growing
with a
up
lot
like
of
that?
cowboys and
Yeah, what do
You
people
know,
think about the
farmers.
growth? I mean, like obviously North Idaho and Southern Idaho are both growing a lot.
We lost our 208 only area code. We now have 2 area codes.
I know. It's so
The
crazy.
growth.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I
Like
don't
being
know
a local Idaho. Like, what do people think about that?
about all the
Growth.
influx of people.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of inevitable, and obviously, I'm in the new construction business, so it's kind of a double-edged sword because business is really good, but you have other byproducts of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I think growth is good, but if it goes crazy and changes too fast, I
Mhm.
think that's when people kind of
It
don't
gets-
like the vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you
And the
price.
prices of houses, though, too. I would
Mhm.
say
Oh man,
that's one thing that I think.
well,
people
and
like.
that's the thing. Like what I'm seeing from coming from Havre, Montana, like we don't know about real estate and how to manipulate the real estate property buying. Make money off of this and buy some more, whatever.
Yes.
And people who are coming here do know how to do that, and I feel like a lot of the locals are the same way. They don't like necessarily look for that. They're more so about like let's just live our life,
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think it's starting to make a couple people mad.
So I would say I don't really personally know like big city stuff.
Right.
Like Idaho is just different.
Mm-hmm.
I think I see it from different eyes because I grew up here. Like the surroundings, how beautiful it is, and you sort of take it for granted, honestly.
Absolutely, yeah. A part of life that some people that grew up in LA or New York, even Seattle, that just don't understand that. Like getting out in the woods by yourself. Like there's something different about it. Like there's a different life aspect about that.
Yeah.
And they don't even know about it.
Right.
So they come here and they're like, whoa, let's grow more flowers. Bring all the people. Yeah.
But it is wintertime too. People don't expect that as much.
Mm-hmm.
They come in the summer and it looks nice.
Yeah.
Then winter is a little kind of long sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So do you think do you feel like there's a line between the big city mentality and the small town mentality of like, okay, let's learn how to financially be fiscally sound and let's also intake the outdoors and live a humble life?
Yeah.
I think there's a line where
You got to
you can
kind of
meet
slow down
both.
a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I think big cities just go, go, go.
You can't
Small
have one
town.
extreme or the other.
Yeah, I was even in Fruitland for 5 months, recently this winter, and it's definitely a different vibe for me, like as far as just the pace.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even going to a different gym,
Yeah.
was
Weird.
it was weird.
Yeah.
There's not as much personal training and stuff that goes on. The market isn't as
Big.
yep, as thick as it is here.
Mhm.
And they have that, but it's just slow. It's slower, you know.
Yeah, I was dating a girl in Grangeville. It's a tiny town, and
Mhm.
they have one gym, and it's called the gym.
The gym.
And but it's that's really different. It's slow. Like
Mhm.
there's like one or two restaurants, and it's just
I honestly
I
like
liked it.
small town vibes.
I really do too.
I do.
And I think honestly, like if you can get an area like this and like kind of create that like Post Falls,
Yeah.
Lakeland, whatever, Sandpoint, Coeur d'Alene, and have those spaced out enough to where you do create a small town vibe in each
Yep.
one and not roll them together like it's doing right now. Like overboard extreme LA looking area.
Yeah, and I grew up here. Like moved here when I was
Yeah.
4, minus my time in the army. But
Mm.
yeah, my whole life's been here. Like Post Falls had one light. Like most of these roads, like Atlas,
Yeah.
Summit Prairie, whole line, a lot of those were dirt when I grew up here.
Mhm.
It had that. We were separate. Hayden was like a long ways to go,
Away
like from
from
Post
Coeur d'Alene,
Falls.
yeah. Or
Yeah,
Post
Coeur
Falls for
d'Alene was
sure.
set. Everything was separate, but
Yeah.
now it's
Yeah.
grown together. And but yeah, it was that small town. Really kind of just run around. The kids had free reign. Like
Yeah.
everybody felt safe and felt
Yeah, and
just
see, I grew up in the same environment, Havre,
yeah.
Montana. I think 10,000 people, and that was like a big area
Mhm.
for Montana, right? It was like Class A out of BC, A, and double A. So we're like mid range in Montana, and that like there's something to be said about a small community. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
you have one place to go for everything, and you have each other's back, type of deal.
Yeah, I like knowing people in a lot of different areas. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like even on the local scene here, I know people like Coeur d'Alene Power Tool, Parker Tool,
Yeah.
Custom Truck. You know what I mean? Coeur d'Alene Coffee. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
have your people that you have established relationships with. Coeur d'Alene Building Supply.
Right.
I like that kind of stuff. Like just they are relationships with
Right.
people.
Right.
And
So I
I
mean,
like that.
yeah. Okay. So now, like, we're all obviously all small business owners in this area. Like, how does one survive the growth of that and the saturation of every one of our markets? In the aspect of community, do you think, Joey?
Well, the problem with the growth right now, I feel like with my business is you really have to choose what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right? There's too much,
Mm-hmm.
which it's not a bad problem to have, but one thing that I think is important with like what I do is you have to
Say no.
say no.
Yeah.
You have to be realistic with your time. And I see a lot of guys taking on too much, you know what I mean, and dropping the ball. And that's, I think, the worst thing you can do. So I would say, keeping things manageable for one, and life's more than just work,
Yeah.
right? And keeping things manageable and being somebody that, like, for me, like with builders, that's dependable, shows up, gets a job done,
Mm-hmm.
does a good job, and they know they can depend on you because they have so much other stuff going on. They don't need to babysit you, calling you, wondering where you're at or when it's
Exactly.
done. It's, you know, so I feel like in the last few years, the guy that I partner with, you know, we've kept it under control. And I think our value has gone way up because builders will pay more for our services if they want us to do the work and they know
Right,
us
yeah.
and they know what we're gonna do, and it's not you know, it's just basically taking care of business.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They know
I
they're
guess.
not gonna have to pay somebody else later to come fix something that because they were
Right.
cheap the first time.
Yeah, and then also, you know, getting it done, you know, on schedules
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, not stringing
Just
them
the
out.
organization and punctuality and just being a good employee or a good, and that's kind of where I thrive in the sports performance side of things is teaching. That's like my main goal is like teaching these young adults and these kids like, hey, like don't be, so we're splitting two demographics. You got people, say there's 5 people who do your job,
Yeah.
and 3 of them just, they're not doing it because they love it. They're doing it to make a
Yeah.
buck or flip a buck, whatever. You know, they're not doing it because they're passionate about it and they really want to help people. And then you got 2 other companies that do, and then you guys refer to each other. These guys fall off. That's kind of how it works, right?
Yeah.
So like that's my big thing is trying to teach these young adults like you can make a choice. Like you can do what everybody else wants you to do and not be passionate about it, or you can do what you really truly are passionate about and become what you want to become and do good work in life
Yeah.
and support each other.
Well, and like I was telling him, I've been doing the same job for 25 years. So I still enjoy what I do and I want to do it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And otherwise, I think you need to go find another career. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
I think a lot of people in today's world jump from thing to thing to thing, you know.
I
And
know what they want
but
to
you
do.
find it, you know, like a guy like
Yeah.
yourself, you know, it's like, you know, plug into what you want to do,
Yeah.
you know, and hang in there for a while.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
ups and downs or not. Like, and I said this on my
So.
Instagram story. Yesterday, like,
You
you
know.
say you're training for a Spartan race or a marathon or whatever it may be. Like, there are gonna be days when you're staring at your shoes for 45 minutes, like I was yesterday. Like, I don't want to go run today. I really don't want to go run
Yeah.
today. Like,
Yeah.
my legs are hurting. Lifted legs the other day. I don't feel like I need to run. I don't have to run.
Yeah.
Like, you start talking yourself out of it, but you gotta, grind. And the only thing that keeps you there is that passion and desire.
Yeah.
And what do you call it? Your purpose
Yeah.
of why you're doing it. You know,
Well,
you
sometimes it's
have
not even
purpose.
passion. Like, I mean, it is passion, but sometimes at that moment you're like,
You're like,
I really like, why do I do this?
Yeah.
Well, you do have to pay the bills too.
yeah.
You know what I'm
You gotta
saying?
make a
There's that.
living. You gotta, yeah, exactly. And that's, that's obviously one of our biggest motivators in America.
Yeah.
Is like, okay, I gotta turn
But
the
I
lights
think
on.
you can enjoy what you do too.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's ways to do that. You know.
And the people who are doing what they love are gonna support you.
Yeah, and I think there's always ways to learn new stuff. We're still learning
absolutely.
new stuff all the time.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was telling him about all these new designs, modern stuff, you know, and there's all kinds of things out there these days. It's like nobody really knows how we're going to execute certain things, you know, and designers don't, they got kind of a picture on a piece of paper, but, you know, so you're always learning new stuff. And I think that's pretty important when it comes to keeping things fresh. And also in my field, there's always new equipment coming out.
Yeah.
So, you know, unfortunately, we're living in a world that's more production oriented.
Right.
I was kind of joking with this superintendent this week on a house that I was working on down at Arrow Point. You know, it's like a $9 million house, and they're putting in this luxury vinyl plank flooring, like down in this, you know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, well, that's where we're at with how some of these finishes are these days. Like that's sort of like track home.
Really?
You know what I mean? But I just feel like we're living in more of a production world.
Instant
with-
results.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
yeah.
just the materials and stuff like that feel like it's more production.
Oh, I
oriented.
agree 100%. And right now, I mean, how's that looking with supply and demand?
And also like it's just I feel like it's different than it used to be. Like some of these houses, they just work on them for it wasn't really like such a time frame. Now it's more about budget, time frame. You know what I mean? And everything else kind of like comes down the line from that,
Right. Exactly.
which is sort of different. But you adapt. But anyway, I think really like just always learning, and being open to try new things is big in my trade. Because a lot of guys are like, well, I'm old school and I don't do that. You know what I mean? And like I'm almost 44 and we're considered kind of like the young guys,
right?
Of our trade. Traditionally, it's like old guys in a way.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I would say like, we're more open to trying stuff that's new technology though, that really does help streamline things, because we're looking to do the best job possible in the least amount of time.
Right.
Just like anybody, efficiency is key, in what I do personally. And, so I think you have to be open to trying new things.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So tying that with fitness, right? So like efficiency of your employees, efficiency of your business, like you got to be physically fit and mentally fit in order to achieve that. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it definitely corresponds.
What do you do for fitness? What's your workout regimen?
Well, I strength train with Ethan Franz 3 times a week.
Love that guy.
And I actually never went to the gym before working with him, and he definitely helped whip me into shape, for these different things that I have to do, like tongue and groove ceilings, and I do run a lot of base trim, like up and down, and I know a lot of carpenters that are broken down from this stuff, and so by strength training, I feel like I am definitely prepared to do the work.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going home at the end of the day if I'm running baseboard all day sore anymore.
And beat down and dead. Yeah. Can't be productive at home.
That helps streamline the process of, you're getting quicker with everything you're doing. Like it's one of those, fitness it's a unsuspecting job where you would be like, oh, this person is, you're training because I'm sure you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And the benefits are great outside of your job, but it's one of those where it's like, oh, like what you're doing training is also helping you do your job faster.
Absolutely.
Right.
So that's, I don't know. Because I still have trim to do on my my house. I'm like, gosh, my back is already, I train, I like to train, but like I probably now need to train differently so I can like go and do that.
It's just adaptation, right?
Yeah.
Functionality and adaptation in your training to like do what you do. Scott, you're a massage therapist.
Yeah.
So you're using your hands all day.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So like
grip strength is good.
Yeah, exactly. Which ties into ultimately Spartan racing because you're climbing ropes and monkey bars and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
What do you do to train for work?
For work, or specifically, I wouldn't say what I need is like head knowledge of like what muscle attaches here, because a lot of times people, like I was telling Joey earlier, like a lot of times people come in and they're like, I have carpal tunnel. And most of the time it's just like an impingement of a nerve in the anterior deltoid. But so head knowledge is really good. And then knowing how to manipulate the muscle and getting people into a position to where it's like a stretch, but you also don't want to injure anybody either. So as far as like physical stuff, everything that I do improves my ability to be able to do a better job of my, like pull-ups or, push-ups, everything.
Yeah.
Makes me stronger.
Your hands,
Yeah.
And you got that endurance in your hands and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So all your Spartan training basically ties into that.
Yeah, it does.
Kind of goes hand in hand.
And then I get my own stuff that's like, oh, this hurts, and then I figure out what makes it better.
Yeah.
Just last week, I saw a lady, and I knew who she was, but it was more like an acquaintance. But I asked her just by the way she was walking. I'm like, does your hip and knee hurt? And she's like, yeah, how'd you know? It's like, well, you know,
Yeah.
just watching you walk. And so then I was able to gain a client that way just by, you know, having the knowledge of what goes on in my own body.
Yep. And that just dials back to the passion of like actually truly wanting to help somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where like I see a lot of things too when people are moving incorrectly. I watch it all day long. Like it's just stuck in my head. I just look at people walking publicly and I'm just like, oh man, your back hurts. Like you're struggling. Oh, your upper back's probably killing you. Like your neck, you know, like I see all this stuff and ways that I can strengthen them, you know, in a sense, or send them to you to loosen them up. Right.
Yeah.
And then that comes back to the whole community aspect that we were talking about in the first place. Yeah. Like we have these links, like the shoulder is causing the carpal tunnel, you know, like we have these links in community. It's the same thing where, I know this guy. He does really great finish work. Or I know this guy, he can massage you and fix your, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It all ties in
It's
one into
intertwined.
another. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was wanting to say something earlier about what you're talking about, like the growth of what's going on here. It's like, you know, I get a lot of people, a lot of people are from California. And I would say, you know, but what's great because a lot of the Californians, they love getting massages for, you know, just from what I heard, but it kind of makes sense because people who are coming to me already get massages. So it could be a biased opinion, but however, I've been told that they do like getting massages. That's something that it's pretty common down there. But a lot of the clients, like they tell me, like people are like slashing their tires or like flipping them off, like running them off the road, and it's like just because they have California plates. And so like the growth thing is it's good for all of us. It's you know the way that you want to see it. You can either get mad about it and nothing changes, or you can find the positives in it, that there's more people to reach, there's more people to be able to share
more
life
small
with.
communities.
Yeah, more
within the
smaller
whole
communities. There'll be more parks. There'll be more just everything that's that we haven't, that I didn't have growing up here. Better business, you know, more
opportunities.
More
for
opportunities.
kids.
Yes, exactly.
More opportunities for yourself, your kids, everybody around. I agree with that statement. That's what I was trying to get at with the whole balancing. Like, where's the happy medium of growing a city and keeping the small town vibe? And that's it right there. Like, a lot of local people tend to say, "Oh, well, I don't want the Californians here. The way their way of life is stupid." All right, teach them your way of life.
Yeah,
because I bet you they'll like it.
Yeah,
you know,
everybody that I've met, they're more like refugees. Coming here, you know, they're trying to get away from that crazy life.
Exactly.
And they want that.
That's true. I mean, I don't know if you get. I'm originally from California.
Okay.
I know. I'm like,
a little over 2 years. So, but I'm not one of the. I'm not trying to change nothing. Like I actually like all the. I don't know. There's a plot of land, I think on Prairie or something. Then there's going to be a new gas station or something like that. I'm like, I don't want to see any of that stuff go away. California was getting insane. I'm like, I'm tired of it. Like, let's go. I mean, my girlfriend, her parents have lived here for longer, and we were just trying to get away, and she's like, all right, let's go. And I was like, all right, cool. And seeing all of this pop up, I'm sure it's even more crazy, you know, like you guys are saying, like one stoplight, small town. Like I enjoy that too. I mean, I've traveled, every single state in the US, well, minus Alaska. So trying to get there.
Nice. Okay.
But I've been through the very small towns where there is the one stoplight and stuff, and I always really enjoyed it. Obviously, coming here recently, I don't necessarily see that, but coming from Northern California, it's a big change.
Yeah.
And when I'm seeing all these things pop up, even myself being very new, I'm like, man, damn. But it's still beautiful. I mean, but I'm not trying to change nothing. Kind of like refugee kind of style,
exactly.
like just trying to, you know. I just want to come live my life. Like, I think one of the main things that we kind of were saying when we were visiting and looking at houses and stuff, it's like, it's a very like live and let live kind of place, you know? No one's trying to, obviously anywhere you go, there's going to be people that are pushing their shit on you regardless. But we realized it was very just like, hey, we're here doing our thing. Like, do your thing. Just don't
Well,
don't
and it
change
comes down
shit.
to the whole slashing the tire thing, right?
Well, I've got flipped off all the time.
Oh,
like,
I'm sure.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
because
So
of
you've
how
experienced-
big-
I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't help that I had like surf
Danny's-
racks on my top, like, my car and
got
the
North
plates,
Idaho
but-
local looking over at Danny.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, what
Yeah.
up?
No, I'm like, I'm just trying to go home, man.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah.
just working and like just hit
I'm
the
sorry.
gym. Like, did I cut you off? I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I'm like, oh, but whatever. Yeah.
And how much of that is like a cycle? Like if we were
I know.
to like embrace it, knowing that there's nothing that we can do about it, so you'd be
Mhm.
mad about it and nothing changes, or you can find the good in it and then maybe embrace the change,
Yeah.
and then more people won't be getting like, oh, like nobody likes to get flipped off
No.
and be treated like that.
Well,
So,
I think it just comes down to going back to the passion thing about what you do and fitness and everything. Like
Yeah.
if you're eating the right foods, you're mentally going to feel better, right? You're mentally going to look at life better. If you're exercising, your blood pressure's up, your oxygen's flowing correctly. So you see life differently, right?
yeah.
Boom, you just changed a bunch. Okay, now you see the value in, say, Joey moved from California and he's got this passion for what he does, and you see the value in him.
Yeah.
It's the way you look at things.
And you see value in change
Yeah.
because your body's changing. You see that it's better,
Change,
it's
change,
good.
yep.
But if you're just gonna sit at home and watch TV or
Swipe through your Instagram.
you're not like exactly, yeah. Facebook and
Yeah.
social media is it's love hate with that. But
We talk about it every time, I think. Yeah.
But I can understand the the upset and whatnot. But it's like, hey, sorry, you have a beautiful place.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I mean, there's more depth that can go into that I don't even even consider thinking about, because I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
come here and live how I live. I have my opinions in politics and stuff, but even that, I don't even rarely ever
Whatever.
think about it. So I know there are people here that, move from California or wherever that are probably deserving of maybe not an FU middle finger, but just
Yeah.
don't bring,
Chill.
just chill.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I get it, but also hey man, sorry, it's beautiful here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some amazing people from California for real.
Oh, yeah.
My neighbor lady, she's awesome, and I have a lot of good friends, honestly, from California. So it's like that's a stereotype to say.
Yeah, and if
that-
you take that prejudgmental
Yeah,
route, you're not only
exactly.
you're not only creating this toxic thought process, because if I say something and you trust in me and I say something about somebody, you're like, oh, then I'm probably gonna believe that.
yeah,
Right? Like, dude, your ripple effects affect things very deeply and
Yeah.
could ruin somebody's life on a prejudgmental,
exactly.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There is one point
So-
that my girlfriend and I, we've talked about it before, and on a very light note. So I don't know if this will even make sense in the whole scheme of things. But when the people from California or out of state, whatever, moving in, it's like there's people that are selling their homes that maybe have already lived here all their life or whatever. It's like obviously financial struggles can sway someone's decisions, but it's like you don't necessarily have to take the all cash offer from the if you really have those opinions, you don't need to take the cash offer from the California person. I'm sure there's someone that is, from here, or I mean, Montana or somewhere that's not getting, middle fingers and stuff driving down the road. But, you don't have to take that all cash offer, to the Californian and then complain.
Knowing
that,
that they're gonna just sit in
Yeah.
California and
But like I
rent the
said,
place out and whatever,
I think usually whenever I talk about it with, my girlfriend, it's kind of stops at that, because it's like, well, financial stuff, maybe you need to take it because you don't have time to wait for
Right.
that offer from someone local. So it's
The
one of those where it's
contingency.
there's so many different factors. It's like, I don't know.
And I think
I
that just
get
comes down to the divinity of your life and following your life path.
Yeah.
Like going back to are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Are you following the connection? Are you following that, it feels right. I need to be doing this,
Mhm. Yeah.
Go against the fear.
we've worked for a lot of good California people that have provided a lot of money to the local economy, and jobs for people that live here. And
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's not all bad.
And I'm sure they, maybe after their first winter, they may have oh, damn.
Yeah.
Alright.
There is a little bit of that weeding out.
So I
factor
wonder,
of the
I
winners.
wonder if there's the big, influx of people moving, and then they
Uh-huh.
hit that first winter. Maybe they stay around for that next summer, and then they're like, damn, I don't know if I want to do a picture and then they leave. So I don't know. It's like, I don't know.
And the last 3 winters was pretty mild, but this last winter we had was
Fine.
it was normal.
It was normal, exactly. Maybe
Uh-huh.
not in southern Idaho, but
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that bad.
no.
Snow melts there fast.
Yeah.
It's still cold,
Okay.
but
Well, I mean, like
It's
up
not
here
gonna
compared to
linger.
southern Idaho.
yeah, it's not gonna linger like North Idaho.
Like, yeah. When is spring, guys?
It was it
Yeah.
was a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago.
But when is it actually?
I
was gonna-
yeah,
I know.
had a little fake out going.
Yeah, we had like a week of like, hey, this is what spring's
I know. Right?
supposed
what
should
it's
look
gonna
like.
look Prepare
Psych.
yourselves. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that kind of encompasses everything
Yeah.
as far as the fitness, the community.
Well, yeah, and then the thing about fitness too is like, like you were talking about earlier, it's like sometimes you just don't feel like doing it. We're not always going to be motivated.
No.
Like people to ask me like, how do you have so much energy? How do you have so much motivation? It's like sometimes I have to create it. And so like, and then when you create that habit also of like creating your own motivation, it bleeds into a lot of other stuff. It helps you try harder to be a better boyfriend, a husband.
Mhm.
It helps you try harder to be a better business owner, a better friend. Like
Yeah.
I think fitness is like a foundation for a lot of stuff. Like my relationship with Jesus is weaker when my motivation for fitness is weaker.
weaker,
And then,
yeah.
but my motivation for Jesus, so is my fitness and every other aspect of life.
It's kind of a line
yeah.
that you want to teach to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Be
Uh-huh.
more balanced out. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And I agree with you. And in the same realm of life where I'm like trying to keep this whole extreme to
Yeah.
this is it. You know what I mean? And I was saying that yesterday. It's like that seed you plant. Okay. Like I don't want to, my legs hurt. You start planting those seeds. That's what you're going to garden. Those are the
Yeah.
weeds that are going to grow in your head
Exactly.
for everything.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to take care of my children. Go play your video games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to spend time with so and so. Like it starts becoming weeds.
Exactly.
mind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're literally saying those things out loud, and it's becoming a manifestation
Exactly.
of
Yeah.
your mind. So if you have, and that's like obviously all faith-based people, you have that higher connection and of like goodness and
Mhm.
Jesus, then that's your seed.
Yeah.
That's your seed that grows throughout.
I'd say the most mentally rewarding exercise that I've ever done are the days that I absolutely do not want to do it.
Mhm.
And then when I finish, I mean, I can even like be cursing the whole time during the exercise, but once I finish, it was like, that's the most mental reward that I ever get.
Yeah.
And then you create that, you change your language that you tell yourself
Yep.
and you just create better habits.
Yeah. Now instead of being stuck inside your head and brain, you're experiencing it. You're
Yeah.
experiencing it. They're connected here instead of connected here.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it makes us a more valuable part of the team. Like if you're working with somebody or whatever, it's like it makes you more valuable. Like if I'm strong, like we install a lot of heavy doors. Like, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And they're not
big
getting
entrance
any
door,
wider.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're all 8-footers and stuff. And so anyway, it makes you, if you're physically strong,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely makes you just a better part of the team.
Yep.
You're helping, not dragging the team down. You're helping them be better.
Yeah.
I would say,
Yeah. No, you guys get it. You guys get it. That's what strength through movement's all about.
Yeah.
It's
You
not
know?
just physically, but mentally, spiritually, and that connection of like, let's help each other. Because some days I'm not gonna feel like it. I'm gonna call Scott up and I'm gonna say, "Hey, dude, supposed to run today. What you
Let's
doing?"
go.
He's
Yeah.
amped. All right, I'm gonna use some of your energy.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's good.
know
Yeah,
what I
it is good to have that community
Yeah.
and be surrounded with like-minded people.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I've enjoyed actually going to like the gym, meeting different people just there. You know what I mean? I think that's fun.
Making those connections.
You know,
Well, learning, like I've got life experiences that I could teach you guys,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and vice versa. Like, I have life experiences that I could say, "Hey, dude, I went through this, and you're going down the same road." You know what I mean? And that's the other community aspect of coming
Oh,
together
yeah.
and working out. You know, Yeah.
And just,
That's what I think in
getting to know-
oh, sorry, go for it.
just getting to know people.
yeah,
Yeah. That's kind of even this podcast. It's fun. I mean,
a big
I mean,
way
I've
of-
seen you at the gym over in, CDA. First time meeting. I'm meeting new people and it's awesome. And then we were talking about it. It's different when it's like, see you at the gym and it's like, oh, hey man, nice to meet you. Like,
No,
"Hey,
you're actually
cool."
making a
And
connection.
then headphones back on. Well,
Yeah.
I got headphones on right now. And they can't see me, but it's the sitting down and having conversation and stuff like that.
True
And
interaction and connection
yeah, it's great.
versus like texting it out on Instagram
Yeah.
or
And
Yeah,
as of
there's a
last night,
big
we
difference.
found out that we're
I know.
terrible at
Yeah.
I thought
So
he was
there-
pissed. Like not
let's
pissed. No,
talk
not pissed,
about
but
that.
like yeah.
and social media versus and text messaging versus like actually getting out and talking to somebody.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
I sent a message to Danny because he bought a new hat, and we're not going to talk about how expensive it was. But I
I
was
don't
like,
care. I mean,
dude,
it's
it's like buying a Lamborghini, man. You got status quo, and I'm like saying it kind of jokingly, laughing, right?
Yeah.
And like
we
he's
just said
taking it as,
status symbol. I was like,
yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
quality hat.
I was totally messing with him, and
Yeah.
like he had no idea.
Mhm.
And like
Mm.
that's something.
And I was
you-
like, what?
I know, like
damn.
had we had that interaction in person,
it would have been
it'd have been
different.
completely different.
Right, because he would know your demeanor,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you guys would be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
joke,
Or if
laughing it
he
off.
sent that 5 hours earlier, maybe I would have perceived it as an
Oh,
actual
yeah.
joke. And,
Yeah.
it was a long day and I was
That too.
relaxing on the couch. Like,
Yeah. And I'm
you
not
know.
going to be at Danny's house sitting on his couch just talk to him about his hat.
yeah, I would
That
have
too.
got it. And I would have been like, guess what? Because you said that, I'm going to buy another one. And I actually
For
probably am
you.
because I really like this hat.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's-
Jeez.
text is like the worst way of communicating, but that's
Yeah.
like the only way that people really know how. And like
Anymore now.
it's so hard, trying to get in the dating world is like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's so bad. And
Yeah.
it's just trying to people just want to just text. And
Yeah.
but then whatever mood that person is in at that time is the way that they read it.
Exactly.
And so it's like you could be saying something to be totally funny or not even serious at all, but if they're in that like negative mind, they're gonna hear what you're saying negatively
Yeah.
because there's no context, there's no
Mhm.
tone, there's no body
Mhm.
language.
Well, yeah, the disconnect. It's like they could have amazing conversation for a few days, weeks, whatever, and then they go on that first date and they're like,
Oh yeah.
"What's up? Like, you're not interesting at all. Like, what
Exactly.
happened? We were having great conversation, and now like that we're here."
Because it's a perception thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have your own perception of, like I have my own perception of Scott on social media.
Yeah.
Like I'm filling in the connection, and then it's something completely different when you actually meet up.
Mhm.
That's where social media goes wrong. Now the benefits of it is I don't see some of the businesses out there because I'm so busy.
Oh. Yeah.
So, or I don't see the things happening because I'm so busy. So you can connect that way. But don't ever have interactions on there. Don't ever have deep, meaningful conversations on there, or even make like some judgment call towards somebody. That's what you should avoid on social media.
I think you can,
Absolutely.
but it has to be like direct. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is like,
you gotta tell them, spell it out.
yeah, like I don't know if you're trying to give someone motivation to like
Yeah.
they don't live anywhere near you that you can go and talk to them, have coffee, and like
Mm.
they maybe are in a slump and depressed or something. Like you can channel
Yeah, some of
something
your old
through that, but
friends
you need to
in
be direct. Like,
California or
hey,
whatever.
like this is, I'm gonna be blunt, or I'm gonna, this is how I'm gonna tell it how it is. My opinion, take it or leave it. Like leave no like wiggle room for like interpretation. I mean, interpretation to an extent, but like that, like what we had over like DM off of my story, it's like there was so much room for interpretation that I took
Yeah.
it the wrong way. So it's like I think you can have that, but just be like, hey, this is what's
Exactly.
up, like exactly how it is. I
So
don't know.
on that note, say you look back at a friend in California, they're struggling, you want to help them out. Well, from my perspective, people back in Havre, like I was a completely different person then. I was 100% different than I am today because I've gone through different experiences and like had different spiritual awakenings, whatever. I'm a different person. So if I said something to them on social media, they take it in the tone of who I was
Oh yeah.
versus who I am today.
Okay.
And now it could like trigger or whatever, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of faulty ground when it comes to social media.
And so why I like
Yeah.
to try to do more videos on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
It's
Go
like,
live.
yeah,
right?
like this,
Yeah.
what we're doing. Cause and I like also being able to share my story and encourage other people more than I ever could have if I
Mhm.
if we didn't have that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I like, and that's the way you should use it.
Yeah.
Like videos.
Yeah.
Because hey, I went through this.
Some podcasts and whatnot, they have it transcripted into like a blog, so it's like written out. Guarantee you, like it's gonna sound like you watching it and hearing it. You can pick up on the tones, the laughs, whatever the way you say certain things. But if you read it, you're like, what? I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah,
but then you could listen to it and you'd be like, oh wait, no, I agree 100%.
And that's why I think commenting should be limited too if you do put up a video.
Yeah.
Because people's tones could be off there, and then it just starts a big cluster of.
And I've gotten
I've seen some gnarly comments before. I'm like,
it is crazy.
Chill.
Very crazy. And I've been dating for so long now. Like I've learned a lot of things to where, like people that were just being able to, how they would just want to text all the time. So it's like asking for clarification. Like, hey, this is how I took this, what you're saying, but is this what you mean?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh no, not at all. And it's like, okay, cool. Let's figure that out.
You have to clarify that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're smart enough to know that.
Yeah.
You've been around the social media and that kind of long enough.
Yeah.
And I guess over time, there will be growth in that. However, I still believe in the true connection of
100%.
actually meeting somebody and,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Intentionality.
Stay out of the
metaverse.
Stay out of the metaverse.
Unless you're making bank.
Yeah, that's insane.
If you go into the metaverse, that is the apocalypse.
And I think the fitness too is a good thing, like with being because intentionality in all relationships is clarity and intentionality are two really big things that are really change the aspect and the dynamic of any relationship.
100%.
And then so to be physically fit, you have to intentionally do something. You have to do some push-ups. You have to do some sit-ups. Otherwise, nothing changes. So,
right.
So I love the strength and movement. I love like the fitness aspect of everything because it does.
And that's that's the big thing that I want to create is that community of like social media, but right here. Like come work out.
Old school.
So you're gonna really find out a person and who they are if you go through a workout like we did today. You're gonna find out who they are real quick. Yeah, you'll tell everything within that workout.
And one thing I like about like this group setting and what we're doing is like people who have never worked out before, and people who have or work out every day. Like you do what you can. There's like no judgment, and like my friend that I brought, he didn't feel judged, and he just did what he could and kept moving forward.
Yeah, love that.
Absolutely.
Yep. And that's what we got to keep building.
I like the idea though that you work with the youth a lot too. I think
it's
that's
huge.
awesome.
It's so important.
Just because
you can mold a mind.
Yeah, just because I feel like there's a lot of different ways that the youth can go these days
and affect the community.
And the other thing too is like working out such a positive thing for discipline. This life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That can bleed into other things that are good, like whether it's spiritual discipline, physical,
mental.
But I think what you're doing like with the youth is awesome. Definitely much needed, in the community these days, because they're not going to get it at high school.
No, not the same type. They'll get it a little bit through sports. And that's the reason why I love sports today versus I was competitive before. Like you go me, who was a linebacker, college football player, MMA fighter. Then there's me who understands the world. And I see sports as that aspect there. Like you learn to be a team, you learn to mental discipline, you learn daily habit discipline of showing up to practices, training sessions, and whatever it may be. And that's why I think sports are super important. And the fact that's like this whole school thing in CDA with the levy and them trying to shove a bunch of sports out, or threatening to anyway, is crazy. But anyway, going back to the whole aspect of the community fitness, that's exactly what I'm trying to develop. It's that awareness and like care for one another, because I've had mentors that have steered me in the wrong direction that I looked up to. And I have mentors that steered me in the right direction that I looked up to. And I know that if I mentor 100 kids in a year to mentor more people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm trying to create more mentors that are steering people in the right direction versus the wrong.
One other thing too that I've thought about in the last few years is like talking to people. Like I've been training with Ethan for 3 years, but I feel like investing in your fitness is a big deal. Like people undervalue it a lot. Like let's say you're going to train someone 3 times a week or whatever, and they look at the cost of that. It's like, oh, that's way too much. But really, like in actuality, it's not. You know what I mean? It's a good investment. And I feel like in the fitness industry in general, people have this attitude of like personal trainers or whatever, it's too much money. But in actuality, it's a good investment in life, I think. Personally.
Exactly. That was the other aspect of group too, is okay, you pay $70 an hour one-on-one, and some people can afford that, some people can't. The group aspect is you get 3 times a week in a group, and you got average Joe 3 times a week for $300 for 12 weeks. Like that's affordable, $100 a month. After 12 weeks, that average Joe who doesn't have a job and is just struggling to find any kind of motivation in life now has been inspired and feels better and is chasing their dreams and has this job that is paying the bills plus some. So where did that $300 turn into?
Yeah.
Well, even furthering that, it's you've equipped them with the tools of, say there's a point in time where like, oh, I just can't afford it any longer, but I did the 3 months of it. Well, now I know going to the gym, like, okay, like there's all these different workouts that, oh, cool, I got taught that in group training or something like that. It's like, now you have this and you're in the gym, you're not walking around like spending a month or two just trying to figure it out and then come to find out you're doing terrible form and you start all over. So it's like you're equipping them with the tools to further themselves as long as they feel like going into the gym.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like it almost
add
preps
on,
you.
just proving the point that it's the investment.
Yeah.
It might seem, I guess, diminishing, but that's only if you choose to just not go anymore.
Yeah.
So that's on your own thing. Like, so I guess the people that they're like, I'm not paying that. Like, that's so expensive. Maybe they're just like, well, I don't see myself in the long run continuing with it. I don't know, but it's well worth it. The investment is.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And like, it wasn't until I really started seeing like serious lives change where I was just like, it's totally worth it. Like starting out as a personal trainer, I was like, it feels so weird training, like charging people to train them to work out, like it's so weird to me growing up in sports. Like it was always free, right? It was weird to me
because of the
try
coaches.
to accept money. But then like seeing people's lives change and what that investment really does, I'm like, it's totally worth it. Yeah. Pay me. I will spend as much time as I can to truly help you.
Yeah.
And we're like guaranteed results.
Yeah.
In some way or another, I'm gonna help you.
Yeah. Well, and it doubles too, because then you get better equipment.
Yeah.
And then the better equipment, you get better training.
Exactly.
And so it's just this.
And that's my huge philosophy with strength and movement. Like you guys are paying for new stuff. Like I'm constantly.
The investment is further than just your personal growth.
Yeah.
It's like the stuff you are using.
I want to put up a rock wall.
Exactly.
Like,
so the investments are just it's everywhere.
You're growing your own place, basically, as a community.
I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's like a life coach. Just like I had a hard time paying $2,500 up front, and was like, ugh, but I had to look past the $2,500, and then when I finally did, and then I went ahead and went through the program, I have, I don't know, 6 times it, 10 times that. Who you can't even know, because that's when I decided to create a business. That's when I decided to just change my life. That's when I started training for Spartans, and now being I was sponsored last year, but
Being at the level you're
being at the level that I am, and now and this year I just want to just do it for fun. I'm just trifecta chasing, and but and yeah, I mean, who knows how much it invested, but like so like just having $8 a class is life changing as well. You're doing those investing into yourself can be a lifelong, like you were saying, of change.
Yep.
That you don't even know the return you're going to get from it.
Exactly. I know, I agree 100%. That's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Got to help each other out.
Yeah.
Keep growing. Garden, North Idaho. Garden, North Idaho. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much, it covers everything, I think.
Until we cut cameras and everything's going to like, oh, wait, I didn't say that.
I know. This happens every time. Yeah. We'll cut the cameras off and be like, oh, man.
We'll just like write it down. Like, topics for next time.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely want you guys back at some point, maybe in a few months. Yeah. Talk again.
Cool. Yeah, and you can always just hit us up, be like, hey, like,
I got something to say.
No, seriously. It's one of those where it's like,
or if you're like, do a business or anything like that, we want to grow the community. So always welcome. Definitely coming in on Saturdays for your workouts.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thanks for having me.
You bet, man.
Right on.
Thanks for coming in, guys. Appreciate you.